Hi, and welcome to the Blueprint Roundtable. We have another great episode today. I'm Chrissy Manzano. I'll be your host. And then I have Lizzie Castro with me and Emily Bell, who will fiercely be debating or agreeing about the topic around LinkedIn as a primary recruiting tool. Is LinkedIn the most valuable platform for sourcing and connecting with potential candidates? Lizzie, I'll pass it over to you to take the first
Yes.
step with this.
So, in my experience, I've worked with LinkedIn Recruiter, Hire Easy, and Gem. Those are three, I would say, the most used sourcing tools. And in my personal opinion, I think LinkedIn Recruiter is the best option. For me, when I'm sourcing, I think it's very important to have everything in one system. Yes, it's great to have maybe that other one that does more email sequences, but the number one thing for me is I love how LinkedIn one keep everything sorted in the projects. You know which candidates are in what project, so it already highlights that for you, so you're not multiple reaching out to people multiple times for separate roles. I think it's great how you can also share those projects with other people who are on your recruiting team and sourcing team. I think that gives a lot of visibility. Also, too, with experience, LinkedIn Recruiter, when you're sending out those emails, they're going to the top of someone's LinkedIn email box versus going to an email box or in your email that maybe is going to spam or they're not able to locate it. So, personal experience, I think LinkedIn Recruiter is the top notch. People are checking LinkedIn, I think, way more than they're checking their personal emails when it comes to job hunting and looking for new positions. But Emily, interested in your thoughts.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with you on that. I think LinkedIn is the gold standard as far as professional networks, as far as professionally where people are going to check in for messaging, updates, industry knowledge. And personal email is getting everything from like you have a doctor's appointment coming up to here's your kids like elementary, like 2023, 2024 schedule to baseball, like, everything is coming through that. So you
Yeah.
clear out naturally a lot of noise going via LinkedIn. I think it's really important, though, to stay diversified in tools, especially because they are totally aligned to ROI. If most of the time, if you can get like 2 hires a year, it justifies the cost of a lot of these platforms. So why not have multiple fishing lines out? But I would agree with you. I think that from a response rate standpoint, from a touch, like a cadence, and just an overall visibility standpoint, LinkedIn's going to be consistently one of the top platforms and to engage talent, in particular passive talent. And I think that just like in sales, when you're doing outbound, you do have to have, a couple of different tools in your arsenal for outbound because you never quite know. Even if 80% of your candidates come from one path, that other 20% still is needed in order to get you to your company's revenue target. So it needs to be diversified. But I think that, for folks that are looking, if you had to choose one, my short answer would be LinkedIn Recruiter seems to have, just really consistent response rates across all types of roles. Whereas you have, various different solutions that maybe might be better for like SDR type candidates or, AE candidates. So all that to say, keep your options open. But if you had to pick one, LinkedIn Recruiter, I don't think you can really go wrong with it. Chrissy, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think LinkedIn Recruiter is a great tool. Now, granted, if you're not on LinkedIn, like if you're recruiting truck drivers as an example, that's not going to be the tool that you use, right? So
Yeah.
it depends if you're recruiting nurses, right? Or you're in healthcare, it's probably not the platform that you're using. So I think it depends on the audience. Like the audience that we are recruiting for is always on LinkedIn normally, right? Like I don't think we've ever run into.
Mm.
Now, granted, for SDRs, it's a little bit different because if they're not, if it's their first job out of college, they may not even be on LinkedIn yet or just getting on LinkedIn, right? So I think it depends on the industry. But I think from the tech side and B2B side, um, LinkedIn, it works really well because it kind of has the monopoly on the professional, like white collar, um, candidate database, right? That's if you are in a job like that, that is where you were listed, right? That's you have a profile,
Yeah.
even if you're not active on it. There's not really anything else out there that people use consistently for that. It's the most well known. To your point, I do think it's beneficial to diversify your platforms because, again, like why it's very easy if you are even like not that bad at recruiting to have the ROI pay off for this, right? And so why not find multiple ways? Because they don't all do the same things, right? Like the way that other tools can sequence and, reach out is a little bit different than LinkedIn Recruiter, right? Even though LinkedIn Recruiter is probably, in some cases, like, they're going to get that message if they're on LinkedIn. You're removing the noise from all the other things they get from their personal email, but it's different. These platforms all have their advantages, right? Of like what another platform doesn't do really well or something of that nature. So if you can kind of close those gaps by using one or two platforms, even if you're a really small business, I think that's important. So you're not held hostage to just one, especially since, you normally are limited on credits, right? And so you don't want to, I think that's the biggest thing. Anytime you have credits, you want to make sure that you're not just reliant on those to feed your mouth, right? And to be successful. But that's kind of my overall take. I think it's a great tool and, it's expensive, but it's a great tool to use. And, the ROI does pay for itself. The only thing I would ask is, what do you all think is, if someone had to pick two, what are the two that you would recommend?
I don't think I would pick two.
I knew you were going to say that.
If I'm being
and recruiter, like Stan, for sure.
I just think, and I don't mean to be negative in any way, because yes, I do think it's great having two systems. We have Hire Easy, and I do think it helps a lot because they have more of a feature to find diverse talent.
Yep.
But I think LinkedIn overall, and I just have I've had a lot of success with it. I think it's easier to get people's attention. It's easier to get those response rates. Yes, the credit aspect that you called out is 100% accurate. Like, you need to stay on top of those. If you don't have another platform, you for sure are going to need another one. But yeah, I would put all my eggs in one basket for LinkedIn, but I have used Gem. I have used Gem and Hire Easy, and comparing those two, I would go with Hire Easy over Gem. Because I like how Hire Easy integrates more with LinkedIn. It's not too many clicks. If you need to import someone into the system, it's very easy to do it. Where in my experience with the other one, it was just taking up a little bit more time. So that's a good point. I would answer that question.
That's a good point. I would add to that. It's tough to pick just two because it would depend on your industry. It would depend on a multitude of factors. But my advice would be, regardless of industry, understand really well when you're assessing platforms, what they integrate with, and kind of go through some testing around like what the motion would look like to go and work within those interfaces on a day-to-day basis. Because when you think about sourcing, you're reaching out to hundreds of candidates. And then when you think about, response rates, that could be anywhere from, 50 to 70 that respond and are in some type of interview cycle throughout a 30-day period. So it's a lot to keep track of. So having systems that you can seamlessly jump in and out within, and that have some sort of integration for upload and note-taking or merging, that is massive. And then the other piece would be make sure that the platform has the ability to search by profile indicators that matter to what you're going to be looking for. And they all have different strengths. And so that's one of the reasons why we went with Hire Easy. We actually didn't look at LinkedIn Recruiter like in depth. It was one high level, but Hire Easy was a really great option for us because of the ability to go in and see very specific data points and variables that would be customizable across multiple types of searches.
Yeah. I think there's, you could argue both are great tools, especially too, I think a tool like Hire Easy is going to be great for those senior leadership roles. If you're looking for a second line manager, director, VP of sales, even maybe a C-level executive, you're definitely going to have some more success with Hire Easy with that email sequence versus LinkedIn Recruiter, where you'll see more IC, more junior, sometimes a little bit more senior level leaders. So yeah, there's room for both. But again, I choose LinkedIn
Definitely.
Recruiter.
Well, look, I think these are all great points. Lizzie is never going to say anything other than LinkedIn Recruiter because she is.
I love that. Girl knows what she
I know.
likes.
She's like, I've had success there. Like that's my favorite. But what I will say is, for anyone listening to this, we've used LinkedIn Recruiter. We have people that have used Gem, Hire Easy, RecruitBot. They're all fantastic sourcing tools. They all have pros that the others don't. And so, to Emily's point, it's really trying to figure out like what you need. These are great, for B2B. Some might even have some B2C. And, it really depends on your industry, but, what you need and putting that plan together. And so whether you are a recruiting agency, internal TA, or a company that has none of those things, if you don't have any of those things, like internal TA, you should hire a recruiting agency because it's probably not worth your time to invest in these tools because it is a full-time job going through that. But, definitely take a look at those tools because they're all great. And then, comment below if there's anything that you've used that is fantastic that we didn't give a shout out to because we haven't used it, that you think our followers should know about. But thanks for the conversation, you all. This was great. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.